The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Thank you for joining us here in FRC Media. It's been a while since we've spoken about some economic development initiatives in the City of Fall River. And who better to discuss this with than the Executive Director of Fall River's Redevelopment Authority, Sarah Page. Sarah, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
There's always a lot going on at the Redevelopment Authority.
There is.
So let's just get right into some of the projects. Obviously, the biggest project that's going to be probably providing the biggest impact in Fall River is what's going to happen to the 19 plus acres along Route 79. I believe it was even in 2024 into 2025, master plan has been sort of put together through your office. What's the latest there in terms of working with the state on how that land may be, split up?
Right. So we have been talking with Mass DOT, and they are saying that they will put it out for RFP. We'll be involved in the process, and they will base it on the master plan. So at least our goal of having local input and stakeholders and residents involved in helping plan that out will affect the process in any case. But Representative Fiola has put out a bill that would have the land transferred to the Redevelopment Authority, so the city is really in control. And there are a lot of advantages to that. One of which is that it may not be as possible for the state to have clawback provisions. So
what does that mean?
Yeah, so we had them we have them for the Innovation Way technology park, where if a developer buys the land and then runs into trouble and doesn't complete the development, and this is a large development, so if we pass that land to a developer, we want to be sure that we could buy it back and be able to pass it on to another developer who actually will finish it.
Yeah, so let me ask you, has the state made any indications at all as to when they would make a determination on where they want to go? I mean, obviously the road itself is just about complete.
Right.
So are they waiting for that to finish? What are they?
Yeah, they had always said that they wouldn't make a decision until the road was complete. But in a way, the fact that we have a bill that's been introduced is part of the process now. So if we just said, okay, Mass DOT, we're ready to work with you on a RFP, it might go more quickly, but we really are trying to have it be transferred to the Redevelopment Authority, and the mayor and his administration would like to see that as well.
Regardless of the process, will there be any further opportunities for the community to have any more input on this? Do you know? I mean, even if there's a partnership between the Redevelopment Authority or the city and the state, are there going to be still that opportunity? Yeah,
there would be, because there are going to be reviews and approval processes. So yes, there will be a chance for people to have more input.
Yeah. I want to move along to, we'll stay on the waterfront.
Okay.
The city pier now, the Norton City Pier, has been in operation for a couple of years now. Seems like only yesterday that we've had that ribbon cutting and that ceremony with the former state senator. There have been events held there. What's the progress of that? And I guess how has it been received in terms of opportunities for the Redevelopment Authority to, rent that space and what have you? I mean, how's that been working? And are there room for growth, let's say, in terms of use of that land, that facility, even next year?
Right. Well, one of the activities that we love that's been so successful is Kite Night, where families come out. It's usually in June, and lots of people come out and build kites and fly them. And then the Narrows does a concert every August. And we are getting requests now for organizations to rent it. And we had held off on that, especially while Duval Street was so under construction and parking was challenging. So we have a license with Mass Department of Environmental Protection that oversees any land that is right on the water and was filled tide land. So that's a technicality. And we had gotten a license to have public events. We now have to change that license to also be able to have private events so we can actually rent it out. So we're in the process of doing that. And we have some great organizations interested in renting it. So we're working on that, but that'll be a new adventure for us too. We're going to have a long application that people need to fill out and make sure that it's used well and isn't damaged.
Right. Is there an opportunity that some of these may happen next year, 2026? Or I mean,
yeah,
depending on how long it takes for you to change that.
We think a first one will happen sometime next summer.
Okay. Yeah, good. Now, just north of the pier is a location called Northfield Point.
Yeah.
And that's another opportunity for some recreation opportunities there in terms of, you know, being able to people to fish off that part. It's not a very big piece of land, but talk about what the vision is for that and how's that been moving along.
It's somewhat changed from. I talked a lot about people being able to fish from it, and people are going to be able to fish, but everyone has said it's not really in the fish run that the pier that National Grid owns that you walk by when you're walking the path, and that would be a much better place to fish. So the city's been working with National Grid on trying to access that. But people can sit and fish on what we're developing. We're turning it into more of a natural landscape than the kind of formal lots of grass that Norton City Pier is. And we've talked with both Audubon Society and trustees of reservations, and they both are involved with educational programs in the city. So they're both interested in doing programs with kids around the plants that we plant. We're planting a lot of vegetation that feeds birds, and so we're hoping the river is also a flyway, and so we're hoping that we're feeding birds at different times of year and they'll be attracted. We're hoping to put up an osprey tower so that they can build a nest there because there are osprey on the river. So we're doing a lot to make it a place where you can really go and enjoy nature. And we're putting in granite seating areas using historic Fall River granite that the city has had. And we're putting in a bottle filling station, which people have asked for so much.
Sure, right.
And so, and we have a grass area planned that they can do kind of outdoor classrooms with kids, as I was describing. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that should be very, very interesting. I want to move to the Flint neighborhood. There's been a lot of work on the Flint neighborhood and Pleasant Street. Urban renewal plan is in the works.
Yeah.
As you move along, give us an update on that.
So we have an urban renewal plan. We really want to see some of the buildings that are vacant and deteriorated on Pleasant Street get redeveloped. And one at the corner of Flint and Pleasant, a big historic building, is being renovated by someone who has done that before. And another developer is renovating two buildings up near Claflin Street and near the Bay Coast Bank branch. And so there's momentum going in terms of redeveloping some of the parcels, but the Redevelopment Authority is really looking for developers, and we're willing to help in any way we can to get a couple of the buildings that are really look bad redeveloped.
Yeah, I remember there was one, I don't remember the corner, near a bank, I believe, where there was either a fire, the roof was falling down last year.
Yeah,
Is that one of those buildings that would?
Yes,
yeah.
That's a real high priority and really logical because it's a great building to redevelop. You can take some pieces down that are really not good, and then there's a lot of parking there. So, so we're hoping someone will take that on. And then the old Sharmore furniture company, that building really probably needs to come down. And the hope is that someone would develop 25 units of housing there with commercial on the first floor. And that would really be great. Because there are some businesses that have been there for decades and they're just suffering from having this very bad looking building across the street.
So, so what, have you heard from developers at all that are interested in that neighborhood, and what's been the, I mean, 30,000 foot level, what's been sort of the interest?
Well, there had been a developer interested, and they weren't able to proceed, but I'm just putting word out and contacting people now saying, you know, how can we help you redevelop this? We're trying to buy a piece of land that could be used for parking, because parking can be a deterrent. You know, even if the zoning board made an exception for a building and didn't require much or any parking, to make it marketable, you still need some parking usually. So,
so let me ask you about you know, getting the city received some state and federal funding for some of the storefronts on Pleasant Street. Are there any other opportunities to get some state funding? And we had talked about the transformative development initiative that the city had been involved with in downtown.
Right.
That there may be some interest to do that in the Flint.
Yeah, we just applied to Mass Development for a TDI district. We have lots of partners in the Flint, which is really exciting and is really part of what you need to have a TDI district. And so we've applied. We'll hear sometime in the new year. And we just had an interview with our partners. What we really have going in the Flint that bodes well for starting a partnership is lots of things happening in the parks. There's a Love Your Block program that's funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies and run through our community development agency. And the person working on that is Dr. Gloria Sadler, who's lived in the neighborhood for a very long time. And so she's been pulling together all kinds of people to start a community garden.
Right at Travassos Park, I believe, right? Yeah.
And it was so successful, so they're expanding it this year. Oh. And then the Bristol Black Collective did story walks in both that park and Kathy Assad Park. And they're really cool. They take apart a book and laminate it and hang it on a fence. And they're even making it possible to read it in different languages. Oh, nice. And so you can just walk along and read the book. Yeah. So those are kind of community activities that are bringing life to the neighborhood. And then we really want to see redevelopment, and we have funding to do work on Pleasant Street and on Alden Street.
So what is the scope of this urban renewal plan? I mean, a lot of people think of the Flint and they don't necessarily just think of Pleasant Street. Is it mainly Pleasant Street? And I guess how far? What's the...
Yeah, so the urban renewal plan covers all the way from Eastern Ave to Plymouth Ave. But and it's a 20-year plan. Right. So we're focusing now really on Granite Street to Eastern Ave, with a real focus kind of from Flint Street to or Quequechan Street up to Eastern Ave, and trying to really make that area that was always considered the city's second downtown a vibrant place again.
We mentioned the transformative development initiative that there was one in downtown Fall River. I understand that there was there some other work affiliated with that in North Main Street? You
Yes.
talked about there's some work going on there. What's that?
Yeah, so we've ended up calling it NOMA to make it easy as kind of North Main.
Right.
And so we have a steering committee and we have a district meeting every month or two that includes all the restaurants. Bank 5 is really involved. And all the folks on Purchase Street. And Purchase Street, Joseph Holdeman, who owns a couple of buildings, created a whole plaza that we've been having events in, and it's a wonderful place to.
Where Viva Fall River had
Yeah.
their shop, right in that area?
Yes,
Right.
and Viva ended up kind of changing direction and having to leave that, but we have a vintage clothing store going in there, which I think is a great addition because there's tons of food there and we didn't want to have really more food. So Bun Buds was sold and has been sold to someone who's very experienced in doing takeout restaurants like that. And the Old Time Blossom space has a little store that's selling all kinds of cheeses and meats and condiments and looking for a wine license, which would be great. And then next to that is Cafe Balboa that was in that space and moved to a much bigger space. So there's a lot of activity there, which is really great.
Yeah. I know that that along with downtown, are there any other downtown initiatives that the Redevelopment Authority is working on beyond North Main?
That's really our focus right now.
Right.
We know of a building that is going to finally be owned by the city, and I think the city will put it out for RFP, and I don't know that we'll need to play a role, but
Right.
that's been on our minds a long time. And so really our focus right now is really helping that North Main Street effort move forward.
Right.
And we're working with the city on getting lighting improved because the light bulbs in the street lights have kind of petered out a bit. They don't last forever, and so we're hoping to get more lighting, working on a lot of potential plans for lighting on that area.
I want to go back almost to the waterfront a little bit. In looking at recent agendas of the Redevelopment Authority Board, there's talk about, I guess it's just an empty lot on Anawan Street, 45 Anawan?
Right.
45 Anawan. What's that?
Well, it actually has a number of buildings on it.
Right.
And we're really trying to figure out how to put maximum parking and decide which buildings to keep and which buildings really aren't needed.
Right.
And a couple definitely will come down because the parking challenge is that you have Primos and the Narrows, and they both become totally full on nights of concerts, and there may be some housing going on to Anawan Street, and that should be a really vibrant area, and you can't make it vibrant without more parking.
Right. Yeah. And that would just elevate that whole area in many
would.
ways. And it would also provide parking for other events that may be happening either at
In the
the
gates.
park or at the park, Heritage State Park, even that's a little bit further near the battleship. May be able, and all the way back. I mean, it's a little bit of a walk, but even to the city pier in some ways, if there's parking in that area.
Yeah.
There's been talk of other parking in that
Yes.
area as well, right? Closer to the battleship area, right? Am I wrong? Or?
Well, there was, but it didn't pan
Didn't pan
out.
out, okay.
The city was trying to get the state to move the salt sheds, and that was going to be so expensive that it didn't go forward. But there is going to be land along, Duval Street. There will be an area where we can put parking.
Right.
And so there are lots of discussions about where parking will go along Duval Street, so that will take care of City Pier.
Yeah. I think that's all we've got for today.
Okay.
So, Sarah, I appreciate the updates, and I know, a lot of people may hear of this activity going on, but they may not see things. Well, usually people don't react until they see things,
Right.
what's happening here.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we all like it to happen quicker.
Right, of course.
But there is a process and a lot of planning because you want to get it done right.
Right.
You know that. So, Sarah Page, I appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Alrighty.
for having me.
And thank you for watching here on FRC Media. Have a great day.